Hi everyone, I'm Chris, and today we're going to be touring my bonsai garden. Alright, let's go ahead and start the tour over here with our, got a couple little pine seedlings. Got my California sycamore, or western sycamore. I don't know how well it's going to respond to bonsai techniques, but we'll see. These things do have pretty large leaves, but they are a native species, and we'll see if we can get them smaller. So far, this guy's doing really well now. Really vigorous this year so far. This is a lemon tree. This is a Eureka Semi-Dwarf variety. I was worried about it. It took a long time to leaf out, but it's starting to finally leaf out this spring. Here's my pomegranate that you guys saw me work on the other day. It's doing really well. It's looking good. And here's my Mexican Thornless Semi-Dwarf lime. This guy's getting real bushy too. It looks like I might need to do another video on this guy. Get him all thinned out for the summer coming up. And then behind that you got Ficus cutting. And then behind that we got a Japanese larch. So doing really well. Leafing out. And then we've got my Hibiscus here. This is, I believe, a fruit punch or red punch variety, something like that, Hawaiian punch, I'm not sure. But it's got these nice red flowers. And I'm debating on whether or not to keep the flowers for the season. I might take them off just so that the tree can focus its energy on growing new roots, because I did a severe root pruning when I potted it up this spring. Over here we got a couple of little sweet peppers and a thyme sprig that I rooted from a sprig that I got from the supermarket. Just bought some thyme, had some left over, and stuck it in a pot, and 2 years later it's still there. Over here we got our Torrey Pine. This is the rarest pine in the world. Only grows in 2 locations, so I'm going to try to give it the bonsai treatment. It is a native species to the Southern California, so hopefully it'll do well. Here's a coulter pine, which again is another interesting species because it actually has the largest pine cones of any pine species in the world. So I just thought that would be an interesting thing if I had this pine bonsai with these big old pine cones. It might kind of look funny, but we'll see. Over here we got some peppers. One of these is a serrano and one of these is a jalapeno, I believe, but I don't remember which one's which. They were overwintered from last year, and they haven't started putting them out yet, so I don't know which one's which. But eventually, I'm hoping you can see this. That one there's got this nice, thick, twisty trunk, so I'm hoping I can eventually salvage some of these for some bonsai. You can see it. Try to pull the trees apart, and the wire that I had holding it off to the side kind of bit in, so. And then this is a Manzanita. This is a real nice variety. We just did some pruning on it the other day. It was getting out of control, so I had to cut it back so it could fit on my bench in this space here. Below that I got some moss. It's doing well. Nothing to report home about. And this was an Italian stone pine that I got from the supermarket as a on sale. I got it like for like 20 bucks as a Christmas tree, a miniature Christmas tree. And I did some major pruning to it and it seemed to recover, and then I repotted it and had to do a whole lot of crazy work with the roots, just because they were wrapping around the trunk in a circle. So I don't know if you can kind of see the base of that trunk there, how it's actually looks like there's a big wire bite mark there, but that's actually from the roots strangling itself. So yeah, so that guy didn't make it, but yeah, that's what happens in bonsai. Sometimes stuff works and sometimes it doesn't. Down here I got just some clover, just wild clover that volunteered on its own, and a couple of little dandelions, again volunteers that I didn't really plant. Up here I got the bulk of my bonsai projects. I got my Taiwanese Boxwood here, and you can see it's got a little bit of I don't know if that's leaf burn or if it's just drying out because of the severe root pruning. Maybe it's not able to get water to all the leaves it needs to, but there is, obviously you can see here, it's got some lighter colored fresh new growth, so it is still alive and growing. But yeah, I don't know. You can see the nice, beautiful root base on that guy. It's amazing. I'd say this is probably my most like bonsai looking bonsai that I have. And then over here we got an Incense Cedar, again another native species. It's doing well. Right here we got a California live oak or coast live oak. Again, another native species. And this one here, actually, these two, this one here and this one, are sisters of the same parent tree. The acorns came from the same tree. But it's kind of interesting that you can see, you know, just how different the leaves look, and they almost, you might even think they might be different species just because of how different they look, but they're sisters. Over here you got an Aleppo Pine. This one's about a year old, starting to get all kinds of nice little shoots and stuff growing there. It's beautiful. And then we've got a Japanese maple blood good variety. I just did a little bit of pruning on it the other day because they did have some long shoots coming out here. So again, I'm just getting it ready for the summer. But it is starting to get some leaf burn, so I wonder if I'm just giving it a little bit too much fertilizer or something. I'm not sure, but yeah. It's also got this nice moss on here. It's hard to keep moss alive in the California climate, but it seems to be doing okay. Behind that we got a Cryptomeria, or Japanese cedar. It's doing well. You can see these new little shoots growing off the tips. Here we have a Pinion Pine, and there's a funny story about this one actually. There's some confusion when someone had ordered these for me as a gift, and they had ordered them, the species Pinus monophylla. And on the invoice that I received when I got them in the mail, it said Pinus monophylla, but then I noticed the other day that the tag on here actually says Pinus edulis. So I'm not sure. There are two species called colloquially called Pinion Pines. And the one that I wanted was the monophylla because it's the one that has the single needle. It's the only single needle pine in the world, and it is local. It is native. But we'll see. When this guy gets adult foliage, I guess we'll see, you know, if it ever starts to get multiple needles per fascicle, we'll know that it's edgeless and not monophylia. And then here we got a red snake bark maple. Doesn't really, it's really young, it's only like a 2 or 3 year old tree, so it doesn't have that beautiful bark characteristic of this variety yet, but it will get there. Behind that we've got a blue oak that is not doing too well. I think it is I think it might be dead. When I got it out of the mail, I got it in the mail in a pack with this oak and this elm, this Chinese elm, and this cryptomeria. And it had a few leaves, and they grew some new leaves, and then they kind of dried up, and you can see this top part here, it just got brittle, and I snapped it off, so I don't think that this tree's alive, but I'm going to leave it, and hopefully, it is deciduous, so hopefully it leaves out once the weather starts warming up. So we have been getting, even though it's end of May, we still have been getting quite cloudy, cool days, mostly. And then this here is a California black oak. Again, another beautiful native species. I expect these leaves will get much larger in the future. I don't think they'll stay that small, but hopefully, with any luck, you know, giving it the bonsai treatment will keep those leaves that small. Let's see here. Moving back over here again, I got this apple tree that I grew from a seed. It's ate a Granny Smith apple and decided to grow the seeds. And there was a couple of them that sprouted, but this is the only one that's really survived so far. But it is doing really well. You can see it's got so many branches right there. It's even starting to get some inverse taper and some trunk bulge there from all those little branches. So I got to do something with this soon. Again, that's only a year old, just over a year old. Here we got a Habanero Pepper that I grew from seed about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago maybe. So I grew it from seed. I grew it intentionally for bonsai, for these little miniature mame-sized bonsais. But last year it grew really nice. It grew some peppers. Obviously, it lost all of its leaves over winter, and then it started sprouting out some new shoots a couple of times this winter or this spring. But it had some false starts. You can see it kind of. You know, the leaves kind of just dried up, and I thought it was going to give up and die, but then it started leafing out again, and this time the leaves are actually growing, so it looks like it's doing well. Yeah, it looks like it's finally kicking off for the spring. I think what happened was we got a couple of brief warm days, and it thought it was spring already, and then it grew, and then it cooled off, and then I think it decided, hey, I'm going to go back to winter time. But and then I got another Aleppo Pine here, and you can see this one's doing really well. And you can see this one's got all kinds of new shoots and stuff growing out of it. It's even starting to get some nice bark there. And then here is a Chinese juniper, grew from a cutting. And there's that Chinese juniper. It's got a single wire holding it in that kind of S shape. And then you got a Japanese maple here that has seen better days. It did the same thing as that little habanero there, where it leafed out started to leaf out a couple of times, and then they kind of just fizzled away and never really came to fruition. So I don't know that this tree's gonna make it this year. We'll see. And behind that, we've got a couple of pears. These are another Asian pear that I got from the supermarket. Grabbed the seeds out of it, decided, hey, let's try to make a bonsai out of it. So both of these are sisters from the same pair. Clearly one's doing a lot better than the other. I don't know why one is doing better than the other, but that's where we are. And then over in that corner there, I got a couple of Pedro Cactuses that a friend let me cut off of his cactus grown in their backyard. They haven't really grown since I got them, but they did. This one did have started to have a little fester spot there. I'm not sure what all that's about. Yeah, it looked like it was, I don't know, getting infected by some insect or something, some kind of insect or rot or something. So it's getting this weird gnarly bulge, so I cut it off, and so far it seems to be scarring over that spot okay. We'll see how it goes in the future. It's still like not squishy or anything. It's still firm and feels like a cactus and not like a bag of jelly or anything. So I think it's going to be okay. And then this one here is a clump style ficus. Again, that my brother gave me. It's a sister tree to this one. They're both cuttings from the same tree. But this was just a bunch of cuttings put together in a clump style. And then I'm going to try to grow like an umbrella kind of canopy. You can see I got all these little wires here holding the individual trees down. Kind of grow them in a little umbrella clump style here. And so far I've only had one of the trees die, so I think so far it's been pretty successful. This one here, it's a green cloud Texas sage, green cloud variety Texas sage. Obviously it's not doing too well. All the leaves are kind of dried up and crispy. And that's everything over here. For here we got a Serrano, got all these nice little peppers on there. This is another 1.5-year old pepper tree that I overwintered. I'll probably end up trying to bonsai this eventually. Got boxwood cuttings off of that Taiwanese boxwood back there. I think this might be starting to root, even though you can see all the leaves are dead, but we'll see. And I've also got a bunch of Manzanita shoots that I pruned off of the little Manzanita down there the other day. I'm not sure if they'll grow from cuttings, but I figured I'll try it. This pomegranate also, I think it might be starting to root as well. You can see it's still got green leaves on it, so yeah, hopefully hopefully there's enough energy in that thick little trunk there that it grows a new tree. I got a golem jade and a what are these called? A pine jade or something like that. I'm not sure. Again, it's just a little succulent. One of these leaves cutting off there. There's a bunch of these. This is kind of just my throwaway bin where I just kind of throw little cuttings and succulent leaves and stuff and hope stuff grows. As you can see, I got all these little jade cuttings that are rooting and growing, so it's fun. Here I have a avocado that I've grown from a seed. You can see the seed still on there. This one's got a funny story as well. I grew it Grew up big long, you know, it's 2 or 3 feet tall, and then I cut it back real hard to one leaf scar, and then it grew a bud, and it was about this size, and I just barely tapped it like that, and the shoot fell off, and I was all worried, so I cut it back again, and there was never a leaf that grew here, but there was a little mark, so I was like, maybe there'll be a bud that comes out of there, so I cut it back here, and luckily enough, it did shoot out. So it is still alive, so we're good. And then this guy is a some kind of native California lilac. This is the first year that I've had it. I've only had it for a couple of months, and it blooms in January, or in December, January. So sometime around winter. So we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. This is a California pepper tree, grown from seed. It's just over a year old. It is grown from that parent tree right there. I have a bunch of other, I threw a bunch of other seeds in there as well. So far I haven't gotten any other sprouts, but this guy seems to be doing really well. It's got all kinds of shoots growing and stuff, so happy with that. Down here I got a habanero pepper. You can see I got one little pepper there, and then I got a jalapeno. You can see it's got all kinds of peppers growing on it. I got a mint. I have some more jades and a rosemary. Up here I got that Torrey Pine growing in this little orchid pot, actually. You know, I see videos of people growing pine trees in colanders, and you know, getting these plastic pots and drilling all these holes in them and stuff, doing all this crazy stuff. So I saw this orchid pot and I thought, hey, maybe I can utilize that and not have to do anything crazy, or plant my tree in some kitchen stuff. So it's a nice looking pot, and it serves the purpose that I wanted to, so we'll see how this goes. Maybe this will start a new trend in bonsai, using orchid pots as training pots. We'll see. But he's looking good. This is a Torrey Pine again, the rarest pine in the world. There's the tag. There it is. Pinus torreyana. And then I got some more of those jades. Got some Portulacaria afra, some regular and some variegated ones. Some more golem jades. Back here I got this real interesting plant that my neighbor gave me. Not sure what it is. It's some kind of succulent flower, some kind of flowering succulent. But he gave it to me, and it's just this one long shoot, and I planted it, and it ended up turning out into this, developing into this interesting raft style with all these crazy aerial roots. So as you can see, like, it's got all those aerial roots, and you can see that woody trunk down there with the original shoot that he gave me. And then all these shoots popped up off of it, and now they're growing. Now they're growing up. And you can see it's even growing aerial roots from here. I think it's because I spray, yeah, I have to spray. You know, that's how you typically water. So I think it keeps the humidity high enough. That's why it's probably getting all these aerial roots. But yeah, it's doing really well. Again, I got some more habanero here. It doesn't have any peppers on it right now, but you can see it's got all those flowers coming out, so hopefully we get something soon. Over here we got a Poblano, growing out big old Poblano peppers. Again, both of these are overwintered from last year. And then I got a bunch more little jades and little weeds and stuff growing. Yeah, that's that. Over here I've got some acacia seeds growing in here that I got off of a tree around the corner. I'm really excited for these guys because the tree that I got them from is really, really interesting. Maybe I'll show that to you sometime. I'm not sure what species it is, but I think it's an acacia. So I grabbed the seeds, I put them in water to make sure that they sank. I scarified them, so I took some fingernail clippers and clipped off the hard outer coating on the shell. I soaked them in boiling water, and then I planted them. So, and by the time I planted them, they were already turning green. So I think that they're going to grow. I'm hoping that they sprout quickly and start growing really soon, because they're exciting. Down here I got a pineapple that I grew from vegetables. Supermarket scraps had a pineapple. I took the top and just planted it, and I made a nice pineapple bread with some made a Guinness and pineapple stout bread. It was really nice. And then I took the pineapple head and grew another pineapple. This is over a year old now, so who knows? Maybe eventually it'll develop a pineapple. I'll get to eat something off of it. These are some head of garlic that started growing, so I took it apart and planted it out here. These were also this is like a third generation potato from scraps. So again, we had some potatoes a couple years ago that we grew, or that we didn't eat, and they started growing. So I threw them in a container and grew them, and this is like the third generation of those. I haven't planted these potatoes. These are volunteers that I haven't planted in a couple years. Over here we got a bunch of lemon seeds that I sprouted. You can see before I had these on the floor down here, and the rabbits came and decided to do some early pruning. You can see there's a few of these that were topped off by some rabbits. This one right there. But even the ones that were eaten by the rabbits still are green, and like this one looks like it's bulging at the spot where it was cut, so who knows, maybe it'll sprout out and keep growing. Over here I got a bunch of jacarandas. Again, these are a tree that was just around the corner. Just grabbed the seeds. I didn't even do anything special. I just literally grabbed the trees off the seeds, just like that pepper tree. I grabbed the seeds off the tree and just threw them in the pot, and they sprouted on their own without having to do any stratification or scarification or heat treatment or anything. This is a bunch of like turnips and radishes and stuff. This is also quinoa that I planted a while ago. Had some old quinoa that have been sitting in our back of our cupboard for who knows how long, 5 years or so, and I just threw them in there, and they did grow a lot. But again, I had this next to this guy, and the rabbits came and ate the first crop, so this is what survived. Over here, here's some volunteer. These ones here that kind of look like mint or volunteers. I didn't plant those. And then there's also some turnips and shit. And then this is that. It's kind of interesting that this little succulent tree here, when you actually, if you cut these leaves off and just throw them on the ground, they actually will sprout new pups from each of these little clefts in the leaves. So you can see that here. Can you see this here? These are the old leaves that I discarded when I did a pruning or a trimming, and they've grown up. Yeah, that is my garden. Alright, that's all for today, folks. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day. See you later.